Welcome to Story Ideas on the Fly, where we pick a random idea out of the hat and try to develop it.
So let's see what we've got today. We're going to get something that someone's contributed here.
Sure.
Just grab
Oh,
one.
Here, you grab one.
Okay.
What's it? What is it?
Actually, grab two. Magical artifact that grants wishes, but only on Tuesdays. The dwarves holding a chicken with a bowler hat while he's screaming.
Can I read that real quick?
So it's a powerful magical artifact, but it only activates under these really obscure and
on
completely
Tuesdays.
random.
Dwarves Holding chicken.
Okay, I think we have to use exactly those conditions.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that you've got a powerful magical item, but you know the moons of Jupiter have to align, and you know
It's
things to
extremely
use.
particular
About
on
when it's used.
The fine print.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
So-
can
Well, that
actually
can
even
be
say
fun.
that this artifact actually has like 4 million different things it does, but each one is under such specific circumstances that they don't know about most of them.
That would be
funny,
interesting.
actually.
No,
So
the granting
what
wishes
ritual
is
magic?
pretty
Good
cool.
point.
Okay, so how are we going to do this? Give me ideas, guys.
Okay.
All right, where did this artifact come from?
My immediate thought was like Zoltar. Has anyone like the Zoltar machine or like some sort of like wizard machine? Like ha ha ha! Like put your coin in and you get the thing. So it's like you put the coin in and then you get like a little contract that you have to sign. And in the contract it says all of the fine details of how the wish works. But the character, whoever our main character is, doesn't fully read the contract and so just signs it and then gets the item and tries the wish and doesn't work.
Yeah, we had
Right.
one in a book called Rejected where he had a character that could work ritual magic, but it was one of these things where you had to get all the components and do all the weird things, and every ritual was something different. And this sounds kind of like that, but I don't want to do the same thing because I've already written that. So
Yeah.
how do we make this so that it's realistic that each of these, you know, each of the magics that this item does?
Activates under a
Activates
very
under
random but
extremely-
particular set
Well,
of circumstances.
What's our world like and what's our conflict like? Because that
Good
might
question.
determine.
You could go a lot
It's
of
fairly
different
obviously a
directions.
fantasy.
Well, yeah.
We got that part.
But you could go tech fantasy or urban fantasy or
I-
classic fantasy.
I was thinking of urban fantasy, like more sort of modern days where magic exists, but it's not really common, or like it's so common that it's basically mundane.
Okay, why don't we go? Because we've written several books in the same world, which is a hidden world thing, where you've got a bunch of fantasy
Oh, you mean
realms,
Okay.
yeah, that all connect to our
To our world?
yeah, to our world. Now, what you could do is you could have something that is from one of these fantasy worlds, and that's why it requires such weird things in this world, is because
It's
it
not
doesn't
from
work.
our world?
Yeah, it's not from our world. It's from one of these different worlds,
Interesting.
and so they have
like that.
right, and so now it's like in their world it works just normal, but
It's
in
just a
our
magic
world,
wishing ring.
right, in our world, whatever this item is, you know, you've got to have a chicken on your head, and you know, do 3 basic ballet moves, and then you know, recite the ABCs backwards or whatever we're doing.
Now, if you want to go another direction,
Mhm,
one thing I think of when I hear this prompt,
mhm.
being a bit into coding, I think of debugging. That's what it feels like to me. Oh, I actually had the same thought. Okay, we have this magic artifact, and we know what it's supposed to do, but it's not working. Okay, let's see. Let's try doing it on the 3rd Tuesday of the 5th month, and then we have to put a chicken on her head. Okay, it's working better, but it still doesn't fix everything. Well, maybe
It's tech support for magic items.
tech support for magic items. Yes.
You could go that way. Go
One
ahead.
thing you could do with this, this is kind of totally different, but you could have it where the gods were each required to, you know, present an artifact or to give, you know, an artifact for this you know, for the hero or for
And this
whatever.
was made by the god of chaos.
And this god specifically did not want to give the artifact away.
He did-
So
he-
he put all these stupid conditions on it. to keep from having, you
Just
know.
make the god extremely petty.
Yeah.
Okay, we could actually do this a little
Do a
combine the
couple of
things
these together?
because it doesn't have to be a god. It could be
A fairy,
it could have
super
been
powerful
right,
fairy.
a fairyland, one
Pretty
of
much
these
the same
fairy
sort of
worlds,
thing.
and the king is like, no, these are too powerful. We've got to give them away, and so it's like, I don't
Nice.
want to give it away. I'm going to make sure when it goes to the
To
human
the
world.
human
Okay.
world, it is so bugged up that you can't do anything with
What
it.
if it's a wizard who's getting an age and so he's retiring? And so he's putting all his power into different items and stuff. But he hates the fact that he's retiring, has to pass on his legacy to other people. And so he purposely creates these really buggy and glitchy magical items that just suck in the worst ways. And it's just like, well, if you want them to actually work properly, you best become a pretty good wizard to fix them. Not my problem. I'm out of here. He's like he's the boss who doesn't want to leave his position, but he's being forced to leave his position, so he's making it everyone else's problem.
Okay,
Like that.
who's our villain in this world?
Ooh.
And what
Well,
does this magic item do?
Either go with the wizard himself as the villain, or someone who's specifically trying to collect all these items.
I
in
don't
order
think the
to bring it
wizards
forward.
themselves the villains. He's not
No,
evil.
he's just he's just a
petty.
grumpy man.
Yeah.
He's a
Grumpy old man.
Petty.
I mean, come on. You don't have to be evil to do that. I can see myself doing it.
Okay,
Yeah, I can see you.
okay, fine. You can take my wishing ring, but I've made it so it only works on third Tuesday. These on full moons after the equinox. If you have a glass eye.
All right. Okay.
All right.
So, who's our villain and what's this magical item do?
Let's see.
I like
Yeah,
the
this
idea of
is
having
granted
multiple
wishes.
magic items, but he's
It
after.
says this one grants wishes.
Oh, it grants wishes. It said
That's
that
what
in
it
the prompt.
says it does.
Well,
It grants
I should have
wishes.
listened better.
Well, I like the idea of depending on the wish, its conditions could change.
That could
That
work.
actually does sound like.
I like that
And
idea.
it could also be a multiple magic artifact. So basically, if you have a specific wish, then
Mhm.
you can find a specific artifact that, under specific circumstances, will fulfill that wish.
Mhm.
Now,
so,
Okay.
if the wizard is really clever, he makes these things where it sounds like they're just totally random, but it's something that in order to get to happen, you have to have somebody do some very heroic things. And then that way he's making sure that it's
Or-
not being used
Or
for,
it could
ignobly.
be that
very
some
cool.
of the conditions are the conditions are designed to do two things. One, to just make them harder to use, but two, to almost make it so you no longer need to use them.
Mhm.
Almost a hey, your wish was fabulous wealth. Okay, well you're going to need to do all this stuff. Look, it's going to require a work ethic to get these conditions to work right. You're going to have to meet
Start a
people.
small business.
And by the end, it's just like, wait, I've started a business. Why do I actually need this wish? And that was so that people wouldn't actually use his magic.
That would be funny if the magical items just weren't actually magical. They're just steps on how to get what you wish for.
Okay. What's your-
I was just saying we were wondering who a villain could be. What if your wizard who's retiring defeated an evil dark lord a century or whatever, however long ago, and he's now coming back, or his son or his apprentice, so that the reason everyone is pursuing these useless but or these very particular artifacts is because they think, oh, his magic defeated this villain in the past, so now we need these artifacts to
this
defeat
villain, what he's probably going to want is to get his hands. Wishes are powerful,
Yes, they are.
you know.
What if I was just thinking? What if the grumpy old wizard, he makes it seem like this is really petty, and it sort of is. He's still being petty about creating these really obnoxious magical items. But what if the point is that these items are fueled by the power of this other wizard or other magician that he like locked away or defeated? So this is the bad guy's power. And so putting under these wacky and ridiculous conditions on these magical items is one, because he's extremely petty, and two, so that way even if the bad guy does get his hands on him, he can't really use them.
That could be clever.
Okay, so we have a bad guy, and he can. What does the bad guy want to wish for? What's his goal?
Actually, one thing you could do is, if it was his own power sealed away, what he could be trying to do is collect all the magic items and then do a special ritual, but unfortunately has to use all of them. Actually, that could be it.
He's a genie.
Ah.
There you go. The bad guy's
Ooh,
the bad guy's the genie, and the
Yes,
wizard
genie.
and the wizard took his power and put it among different
He's
items.
an evil genie.
Yeah, he's an
Yes.
evil
Yeah,
genie.
but
Who is
so the
like
reason
a-
that all the items have these
You know, not all
restrictions is because in
genies,
order to get his powers back,
have to grant
if
wishes.
any item that that the villain manages to activate, if he's the one activating it, the power will return to him.
Okay, so he wants to get his power back, but he's already shown, which is why he was defeated, that he is this very evil wizard who is,
Evil
not
genie.
evil genie, and so we
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
want him to get that. So we've got a villain. Who's our hero?
Oh, and really quickly for the record, genies don't always have to grant wishes. They're not always required to serve a master, so that's not an issue.
Yes.
Originally, Jinn was just a term for general supernatural.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So our
So
hero.
who's our hero?
Hmm.
Mike and Mike. You got any ideas? You've
A
been kind of
squid.
quiet. A squid.
I was thinking something more along the lines of like a knight.
Okay.
Well, I
Oh.
thought we were going kind of urban fantasy.
Oh,
Oh,
are we?
Well,
we could.
I
I
don't
think
know.
we've been
I was
jumping
thinking-
around.
I was thinking if we did
Okay,
urban
we could go-
fantasy, we could still have knights and lords, and they basically act like knights are basically like sort of like cops in a sense.
Yeah, well, if we're doing an urban
Like,
fantasy,
there's
more
like
modern,
there's
yeah.
like
That could be kind
there's
of
like
fun.
a town knight force or
Mhm.
knights department.
Okay, well, I think we've got to decide which one because I kind of thought we flipped to straight fantasy.
Straight
and
fantasy,
came
yeah,
up
we
with
can flip
wizard
to straight
ideas.
fantasy.
Okay.
Straight fantasy's fun.
Yeah.
But if he's got so we've
Mhm.
got a knight.
Okay.
Does this knight
Well,
is the
that just
king
sounds
Or a
like-
magic student.
Well, here's the thing. If you go, hey, there's a giant threat coming, and he's planning on taking over the world, yada yada yada, are you going to just find a random farm boy? No, you're probably going to go,
Not
okay, who's the
generally.
bravest knight in the kingdom?
Yeah, but
Yes, you-
fighting a genie, a knight
could.
might not be your first choice.
Is
True.
there another wizard?
The question
Is
is
there like a wizard in training, like an apprentice to
Ooh.
another wizard?
I was thinking like the old wizard had a bunch of interns, and that's what, or like interns or like apprentices, and they were he hated all of them, and that's why he was extremely petty in creating the
Mhm.
magic items. Because like, I don't want any of you taking my business. Like I'm retiring. I don't want
None of you
any
can
of
do
you to
this.
become my boss. One of you has to become the new boss, but
Mhm.
I don't like any of you. So I'm just going to make this
Yeah.
as difficult as possible.
okay.
That actually does sound
I-
like it'd be funny.
I have a thought for you, hero, because if you just get a knight's not very powerful
Yeah.
against a genie or using magic, but if your magic users in the area are all incompetent, at least according to the main wizard, you could you have a knight who studied magic at one point and gave it up because he thought he was no good at it, and then when there's all this magic stuff coming in and they need help, they're like, "Wait, you've got magic, right?"
What?
You
Oh,
want to go
sorry.
first?
I was thinking, what if he was once one of the old wizard's pupils, and for some reason the wizard didn't like him. He didn't have enough control over magic or whatever.
I like
He quit and decided to become a knight instead.
Or one thing you
Exact
could
same
do is he
wavelength.
could still have been one of the wizards, apprentices, and then when the wizard retired, all his apprentices tried to kind of take his place, but none of them were able to,
Yeah.
and so then he became a knight. But here's the thing: he's a hard worker, but was really bad at just magic in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think one of the big parts of the story in that case would be him learning like how to do the magic or something. He'd need to have like some big problem that he had with the magic, not just
Yeah.
something he could work harder through. Because he sounds like a hard worker in my
Yeah.
head, at least.
Well, he needs really some
Yeah.
stake in the game. You
Or
know,
he could be
that's
a
what you
natural
do.
talent and he wasn't a hard worker, and that's why the wizard has put all these conditions and made it so difficult for him, is because he's trying to, because he
make them
knows
work
this
for
kid
it.
can get it, but the kid's not,
But he's got to work for it.
yeah, but he was
he's
always
gotta
so
work for it.
talented, he never, no.
Okay, well,
Put in the-
why does this hero care? What's his
What?
stake in the game? Why is he going to
Well,
do
for
this?
one thing, he kind of likes not dying.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's we kind of live on the world, so we don't really want it destroyed.
Well, yeah,
Or
but
taken over by an evil genie.
but a lot of times, you think, oh, the knights are going to do that,
Someone
whoever's
else
going to
will
do
take care
that,
of
somebody
it.
else will do it. So not everyone's going to go on
Something
this.
to make
Why
it a
would
little
he?
more personal.
What? Yes, it's got to be
Mhm.
personal. It's got to hit home for him. So
Yeah.
Well,
See.
could you say that there's some kind of problem that someone in his family has that can only be solved through genie magic? So he's
Ooh.
partially wanting to see if he can actually take the power of this genie to save
he
him.
could have some noble wish he desires. He could have,
Or he can
somebody.
even have it not be a noble wish, and part of the story is him developing to not want it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, that
That
could
And
could
be.
be
change his
kinda
wish.
fun.
Yeah, that's some of the best character designs. Is
Yeah.
when you start with a character who wishes for A, and then later on they develop that either they don't need A, what they actually need is B, or they later find out that, well, I can get A by wishing for B instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Is there love interest?
I don't know. When you said he's got a wish of his own, I thought, marry the pretty princess or something. But and then maybe somewhere along the journey he decides, maybe
Wait, that might
he
be
can
brainwashing. So
yeah. Well, he comes
No,
up
that's
with
one
an
of the rules. Is
more
you
ethical
can't wish for love.
wish.
depends on the genie.
Depends on the genie.
True.
That's
Yes,
right.
But I mean, we could make that a
still think my
stipulation.
favorite
What
If
if-
you think you can't wish for love, you've been watching too many different movies.
What if he's like starts off thinking that he's talented and the whole point of these items is so that he has to work for it? What if he's already betrothed to a princess? It's like he's already well known enough that the king is like, yes, please marry my daughter.
Oh,
And then he
Actually
later
sounds like
on
fun.
finds someone that he loves more.
well, he could actually be in an arranged marriage. And that
There
could
we
be
go.
one of the reasons that he wants the string
the
is
ring
to
is
so
that
he can get out of this
he
arranged
can
That's
wish
marriage.
himself.
funny. He
So I
wants
like
a
that.
He can
genie's
wish
wish
himself the girl
to
with his
wish a
strings.
divorce.
Shit doesn't happen in the
I wish I didn't.
I
have to
want to
get married.
divorce, so I'll use this lamp.
Not
yeah.
a divorce.
Okay.
Get out of an arranged marriage. I
Right.
like
So
that.
let's so he's going. Who's the girl he's going to fall for? I assume there's going to be some girl helping him through this. Perhaps
Yeah.
she was one of the students of this wizard.
Yeah.
That would be a
Or
good
you could
idea.
have it be where he's trying to get away from the girl, and then after
And she comes in, "I'm
he
going to
finds
help
out
you."
she's actually pretty nice.
That
You
could be
just
fun.
didn't want to,
Mine, I would think like the old wizard's great granddaughter who doesn't have any control or affinity to magic at all.
Uh-huh.
Or you
that
can
could
make
be
it so
funny.
she actually has very strong magic, but zero control.
That
You
could be
could do
fun,
that too.
No, I imagine if he's going to have a natural talent, then have him have a lot of magic and zero control, and have her not have any natural talent for magic, but she's lived under her great grandfather for so long that she can control it perfectly, what little tiny bit she has.
Or have her do the little,
good point.
have her be the one that can do all the little things, so he can do the great big fireball, but she's the one
She's
who,
like-
keeps the.
Yeah, I can do things. I can make the cookies cook almost instantly.
I can levitate the pen.
Yes.
Right.
But have some of her small little things that she does actually help him a lot when
I can make
he's.
myself like have a good hair day, or something.
Okay,
that's
that is beyond magic.
It is when you have curly hair. It really is.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So
Yeah, you could have.
we have a setting. We have a villain. We have a hero. We have a girl.
Some
we have
ideas
a
for a
conflict.
girl.
We've gone a couple of different ways with this. You can take it how you want. Who thinks they'd enjoy writing this?
I think I would.
Mm-hmm.
I love writing the random, ridiculous stuff. So finding random, ridiculous magic items with ridiculous
Conditions.
requirements and conditions, while also threading in reasons like, oh, this is like it could still be seeming like random, but then you have like, oh,
Mhm.
there's this particular story arc that you go down with like this side character,
Mhm.
and as you do it, you're like, oh, doing this without even thinking about the magic item, you fulfilled the condition.
Well,
Nice.
yeah, I
Not
think it would be
realizing.
fun to write because not
Yeah.
only do you have all those little random things you get to try to fit in, which could be really fun,
Yeah.
but you have some potential with this kind of villain to get something very epic. I love epic fantasy. You know, I
I would-
want something big. You know,
Epic
the
is
whole
fun.
world. Yeah, I
And
like
then
epic.
you probably asked me for a lot of help in writing that fight.
That's okay.
Yes.
My
So,
my
right, fantasy fights.
Intricacies are sometimes fun to write, but what might be a little difficult.
Right.
But
So we'd love to hear
you might
your
enjoy it.
ideas and let us know what you would do with it. And don't forget to give us more prompts for our hat. We'll see you
A
next
bunch
time.
of random magic items in the comments.
Yeah.